So Sunday we had a market pullback that lasted through Monday, and it's basically based on fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And it has a lot to do with the things that Trump is doing in the marketplace right now, or to the marketplace, or how the marketplace is responding to that. And yesterday we dipped around 77 and change with Bitcoin, and all the other cryptos were down as well. And today we're back above 80, and we are not out of the woods yet. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the market that we're in right now, when I see it fixing itself or correcting or going back up, and if I bought or not yesterday. I'm going to let you know that as well too. If I bought more crypto, did I buy the dip or not? So with that, let's get into it and talk about what's going on with Bitcoin real quick. So Bitcoin, we were sitting right here. I said if it goes below this mark of 84,000 and holds a candle there, we're going to have some problems. I said that yesterday. I said it before in the past. And up until 2 days ago, Sunday, we never had a candle close below 84,000 after it had gone up above that. As you can see, you go back here, we've gone above that before. But that's the first time it's ever gone back below that number once we hit it. So that's a very, very, very strong ceiling of resistance now. As you can see today, we've gone up quite a bit. We've gone up from 76,000 all the way up to about 81, 82 and change. But that ceiling's at 84,000. And it's going to be tough to bust through that. I mean, not impossible. It can happen, especially since this last push down had nothing to do with actual anything other than sentiment and fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And so there's panic selling. If you look at the crypto Twitter, people are freaking out. Why is this happening? I lost all my money. Well, unfortunately, that's the crypto market, and it sucks to hear that, and I hate to be the one to tell you if no one told you, but this is crypto. We've gone down from the top, 26, 27%. It pales in comparison to last couple of cycles pullbacks. This is not for the weak. If you've never been, and this is your first cycle, there's tons of highs and lows. I mean, look, we went down 29%, almost 30%, but in past markets, we've gone down 50, 60%. So this is not unusual. And I know a lot of you people, the viewers out there, say all these guys are doing is just shilling their cryptos and telling everyone, giving everyone hopium and telling everyone how great it is. Well, I said yesterday, we're probably in a cub market. It's not quite a bear. It's probably a cub because it's short-lived. This is what I call the shakeout before the breakout. And right now we're seeing Bitcoin might struggle. I don't think the worst is over. I still think we have room to run down because it's going to be a bit before we get the news that we want. Now, I say the news we want. It's not the news we want. It's the news that's going to change crypto around from where it is to where it's going. All the framework is being laid, governmental framework to give it an open highway for it to cruise, and for big buyers like countries, companies, states, billionaires, whales, all these things to purchase safely, securely, knowing where the future is going to somewhat degree. In the past, it's been a very volatile asset because why? Why has it been volatile? Well, think about it. If there's uncertainty, people will panic and think this is it and they'll sell. If there's more certainty, there's less likely of panic selling because they don't think it's going to exist anymore. I mean, think about it. A couple years ago, you didn't know if Bitcoin was going to exist in the future or not. There was only legislation on the books was things to get rid of it and ban it. And now we have they are building clear legislation framework, yet to be seen. We haven't seen the actions. We've seen the words or heard the words. But this is the issue, is that now you have big players involved that want to manipulate the markets. But not only that, you have a president, Trump, who is trying to get our debt refinanced on the cheap. So if you don't know, there's $7 trillion expiring in bonds this year that Trump is responsible for refinancing. And he doesn't want to refinance it at a super high rate. So what is he doing? He's trying to purposefully, probably, maybe not his original intent, but he wants cheap money from the Fed. This is all speculation. I don't have any facts. I'm not your financial advisor. This certainly isn't financial advice. But it seems to me that he's trying to tank the markets, so the Fed has to respond with cheaper money, and the market will bounce back quickly. I mean, if it fell because of sentiment and feelings and not actual results and earnings, and look, there's nothing changed with some of these Fortune 500 companies that have lost $1 trillion, like $1.7 trillion in value yesterday. There's nothing fundamentally changed with those companies. This is based on short-term sentiment. People are panic dumping, and the second there's liquidity, cheap money, everyone's become an M2 expert lately. And I can get into the M2, as M2 goes up, that's more money in hands and more money in hands to buy crypto and assets and other things. Like, look at here, huge, the biggest jump ever during COVID. And what happened in that cycle? Bitcoin went nuts and all the altcoins went nuts. Well, now we're getting back there. China's printing money. There's a lot of European countries printing money. Canada's printing money. We're going to start printing money soon, a lot more than we have been. And what's that going to do? It's not going to look like this. It's not going to look like this. Money's going to pour back in here. These things are going to pump really freaking quickly. So you can get into M2. You can get into the DXY. A lot of these, I see the YouTubers talking about all these things. And these are pure facts. But to me, it comes down to a couple simple things. How's the economy doing? Is what those are indicators. That the Dixie is an indicator of the economy. But how's inflation? Because if inflation's high, the Fed's going to have a hard time raising rates. How are jobless claims? Are a lot of people employed or unemployed? Are more people becoming unemployed? This is going to lead to the Fed forcing of the Fed's hand to lower the rates. We love cheap money. We're addicted to it. Can't get away from it. And until we have cheap money, it's going to be hard for cryptos to pump again. So expect, when I see people doing it all over again, like right now, look at all these longs that were put on the market in the last, look, there's the 1 day, the 7 day. We went from a super short situation to a long situation. There's going to be volatility until something fundamentally changes with either, the federal funds rate, the easing, not quantitative easing, but the easing of quantitative tightening, maybe stopping of quantitative tightening, but I don't think that's going to happen for a little bit. But until people realize that these longs, that's a target. That's a target for whales and manipulators to go after, to liquidate. And so right now you have a lot of longs that were put on that can be liquidated in these levels. I still think that there's still some pain left to be had in this market. I think we're about 90% done with the pain, but that 10%, that last 10% is going to be a significant shakeout of many, many investors in the crypto space. Many, many smaller investors that are new to the space, maybe don't understand the utility that these things offer or the actual technology involved, because they might just buy it because they're looking to make money. Well, I bought Bitcoin because I believe it's the future technology that's going to lead our financial system and blockchain. Things like XRP and Solana. I mean, the speed in which they transfer money is extraordinarily fast. The cost is even more impressive. And right now, banks make their money. They make a lot of money on fees. Well, that's why they were fighting these cryptos for so long, is because they wanted to continue to make their income. You can't blame them. They're protecting it until they realize that, hey, we can use this stuff and reduce our costs. Now you're seeing them jump into the marketplace. And now that it's that's understood, all the banks, not all of them, but a lot of banks are getting involved in the crypto space. The SEC is opening the doors for them. The OCC is opening the doors for them. Now, my concern is that they're going to take this tech and make it theirs and then charge more for it. I mean, that's capitalism, but that's a fear. It's not a reality yet. So look, until this other last thing happens, I think this is the nail in the coffin for inflation, and that's the price of oil. And look, we've gone from $86 a barrel back in last April, a year ago, to $66 a barrel. That's a significant decrease in the cost of oil. And, with the OPEC nations increasing production, I think we're going to see this fall farther. And then that's going to help inflation. Because if you think about it, every goods and service that's bought and sold, there's probably oil or gas involved into it. You got to get to work. You got to deliver the good. You got to make the good. So all these things point to, look, until the price of oil comes down, and I've been saying this for 3 years now, that you're really going to have a hard time getting inflation under control. So that being said, when inflation is under control, it will pump again. Now, right now, yesterday, this is what I did do. So I did buy yesterday, probably around the $78,000 range in Bitcoin. And I used probably about 10% of my dry powder because I think we still have room to run. And I bought a little because I didn't want to miss out at that price. But I wanted to leave more for if we get down to the bottom of this range. I still think there's a lot of potential to go down to the bottom of this range. As you can see, we are still on a downward descending wedge here. Slice it however you want, but to me, that looks like a downward descending wedge. And then we've had lower lows and lower highs. So until we break out of this wedge, I don't think we're going up, and we're going to need a catalyst to do so. And I just don't know if we're going to get it yet. We will get it, but it might be another 3. Look, the Fed's meeting probably next week, and I don't expect them to jump to big rate cuts. Now, if they did, it would shock the market because 97% of the market thinks that we're not going to have any rate cuts. So any rate cut would be a shock and a surprise. And shocks and surprises are not loved by the market, but it would send crypto and a lot of assets screaming up. And I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they want that because it's going to send the wrong message to the market, and we might further hurt our inflation position and hurt our ability to cut in the future. So I don't think we're going to have a big rate cut next week. But that all being said, again, I think I think Bitcoin has not yet seen the worst of it. You have people that already think we're out of the woods. They're already going long, and their liquidation levels are all still within the range of reality of right here. I've circled this. This circle's been up on my chart for weeks now. Weeks now. And I said until we get capture all this liquidity that's right in this range here, we're probably not going to head up, and we're also probably not going to head up significantly until we see a change in the monetary policy by the Fed. And so right now, you can love him or hate him, Trump's goal is to I don't want to say tank the markets, but to force the Fed's hand into lowering the rates because the economy is not as rosy as everyone thinks it is. The last couple of years, our economy has been propped up by governmental jobs, new governmental spending, which is, as we've seen through the Doge, for the most part, I don't want to offend everyone on here, but for the most part, there's a lot of waste and fraud that's been done to the tune of billions, if not trillions of dollars that's affected inflation. I mean, literally the printing of that money through governmental spending has created more inflation. So now we're trying to right the ship. It's going to be short-term pain, long-term gain, in my opinion, not financial advice. But this is the final shakeout before the breakout. And you can look at past histories. I can pull up graph after graph, chart after chart, but that's the reality of the market. They're shaking out, not intentionally shaking out weak hands, but there's people trying to make profits at your expense, and they want your crypto. I believe that, we're still on track for a 120 to 150 Bitcoin this year, not financial advice. That's my guess based on past performance of past cycles, but we're not there yet. That's all I got today. Yes, I did buy the dip, small amounts, and I got more dry powder for when we ascend to that bottom of that range. And if we don't, I have money in the account. So that's not going to kill me, but I won't even get the FOMO. Again, all I got. Good to see you. Thanks for coming out. Talk to you next time.